Hey friends, man, we are so glad to have you joining us for this CG discussion. You know, this is a very different week at Sea Life as we celebrated our 15th anniversary, and it has been 15 years of watching God do some really amazing things. And you know, it's interesting because in some ways it seems like we started about 3 years ago, and in some ways it seems like we've been going for about 30 years. But regardless of which end it feels like on any particular day, what has been clear is that God has been at work all along the way. And so if you're meeting in a group or meeting with a friend even and talking about this, let me give you a few things to talk about. First of all, it may be good to just start off with some great memories from Sea Life. Maybe what's the funniest thing that you've seen happen? What was one of the most memorable things that you've seen happen? And then secondly, I think it would be great to just go around and talk about one way that Sea Life has worked in your life, or that you've seen God work in your life personally or in your family through the ministry of Sea Life. You know, we talked through the book of Nehemiah on Sunday, and there are several things that we highlighted in the story of Nehemiah. And you know, Nehemiah is the story of rebuilding the wall and around Jerusalem, and that was a really important task there. And Nehemiah was living off, and somebody came and told him about it. And the first thing that we saw was that Nehemiah had a burden. And I believe that all great works of God start with a burden. It starts with this God birthing something really important in your heart and saying, this has got to be done. And if nobody else will do it, you've got to do it. And I think in a lot of ways that was the story of Sea Life. We felt like God had a purpose for us in the launch of this church. And so maybe you can talk about what are some burdens that you felt? What are some things that you've seen in the world or in your personal life that you thought, man, somebody ought to do something about that? And why haven't you done anything about it? The second thing that we see in the story of Nehemiah is that it took divine help. God was at work. And you know, since the very beginning of Sea Life, one of the things that we've prayed against is that we would be the best church that man can build. We've never desired to build the best ministry that man can build. We want to be a place where we're doing everything that we can, we're working as diligently as we know how, but we're counting on God to move, and we're dependent upon God moving. And so what are some ways that you need to have God move in your life? And then the third thing that I think is important in the story of Nehemiah, and especially as it relates to the church, is that they would not be discouraged. They were unwavering in the mission. No matter what the people around them thought, no matter what kind of criticism they were facing, they refused to stop building the wall. It was, God has called us here, and we're going to continue doing this work until it's done. And as a church, we want to be unwavering in the mission that God has called us to. We want to refuse to quit when things get difficult. We want to refuse to be distracted when other opportunities come up that seem like a good idea. We want to keep working hard at what God has called us to. And so another great discussion question for you would be, what are some things that cause you to want to waver in the mission that God has called you to? We hope you have some great discussion around this topic. It has been a great week here at Sea Life. It's been fun to look back at some of the ways that God has been at work, and we're looking forward to the next 15 years and hope you have some really good discussion around this topic. God bless you.